We're not legally married, though.
It doesn't matter. In this case, we've got an issue where we have to have a child custody agreement in place. Basically, we just say 50-50 agreement, and then we just work out the details all the time. So otherwise, you're going to get a lawyer and the government involved, federal or state government, and the lawyer is going to take all the money you have. Usually divorces just aren't that nice. She's going back to a state that will come after me if she decides to.
Hey friends, it's Katie from Without a Crystal Ball. Welcome back to my channel. It is Friday, September 20th, 2024. Kody Brown's biggest fears of being forced to deal with the state of Utah and disclosing details about his financials along with other matters have come to fruition because Christine Brown has filed a lawsuit against him for child support, child custody, and to determine paternity and parenting time. This was a situation Kody was trying to prevent ahead of the split between Kody and Christine. Back in season 17, when Christine left the family, Kody attempted to influence Christine's decision about child support and basically tried to strong arm her into a 50-50 agreement in the state of Arizona, not with a lawyer, a private agreement where they could just do this outside of the courtroom, and Kody and her would establish 50% joint custody. And in many ways, Kody was doing this because if you have 50-50 custody, oftentimes child support is not necessarily paid to either party. So it would take him off the hook in child support. And child support laws in Arizona are very different than child support laws in Utah. Well, Christine, having moved to Utah, didn't do anything for 3 years. And then yesterday I discussed with you that she filed this lawsuit. So right now, Kody Brown's fears are going to come to fruition because I was doing a little bit more digging into how child support is determined and child custody in the state of Utah. And he is going to have a government now involved in the life of his financial affairs. And Kody has spent a lot of time trying to avoid this in a number of ways. He has tried to intimidate the women not to go after him for child support. He has been avoiding Mary and Janelle in terms of Coyote Pass so that he doesn't have to deal with any of the legal ramifications of their rightful share of the money due to them. And he doesn't want the government controlling him in any way. There was a lot of questions that came up yesterday about how this will all play out. Now, a lot of you are wondering if Christine's decision to sue Kody for child support has anything to do with trying to obtain financials so that she can provide that to Janelle and Mary. And that would be incredibly unethical for her to do that. These documents are used for the purpose of to determine child support and a parent's responsibility because in the state of Utah, there's a both parents are responsible for child support, and child support numbers are determined, and it's very complicated based on their incomes. So Christine's income is factored in and Kody's income is factored in. Christine's husband's income is not factored and Robin's income is not factored. They look at the two of them. And then based on what their gross adjusted is, they determine what percentage Kody is responsible for and what percentage Christine is responsible for. And then a payment is determined by the court. This is pretty standard. They have a worksheet that parents can do in the state of Utah. Judges have discretion to set it at different amounts. But I don't think that Christine's going to be getting like a windfall of money from Kody. She very well can get arrears from him, meaning getting child support for the last 4 years up until present. But I wanted to just give you some understanding of how this all works and why Christine is making the decision to do this now. Obviously, I don't know what Christine's motivating factors are, but what I can tell you based on what's been said on social media is that Christine had been using her daughter McKelty for handoffs. So she was dropping her daughter Truly off at McKelty's house, and Kody would then pick up Truly from McKelty's house. She was doing this so that she didn't have to see Kody or have to communicate with Kody, and because their relationship had broken down so significantly. And I also feel like Christine is not wanting to have to deal with an ex that's been very abusive to her. Now that McKelty has moved to North Carolina, she no longer has her daughter, who was the person that actually had a decent relationship with Kody. So McKelty was one of the only children that still had a decent relationship with Kody. And now that she's gone, she doesn't have someone where she can drop Truly off at and have Kody go pick up Truly from. Cody doesn't have the same kind of relationship with Aspen where she could do that and say, like, Aspen, can you please be the go between? Because Aspen and Mitch's lives are very separated. Aspen and Kody are not close. So I think part of the reason why it's now has to do with the fact that she doesn't have anyone to help her anymore where she's at. What this does is it is a formal way for her to put in an order in a court, which will establish not only the guidelines for what child support will be, but also the guidelines for how their co parenting relationship will go and where drop offs and handoffs will go, how communication will take place, where they will communicate, whether they do it via their own phones or they use an app through the court, approved app through the court, which will allow communication. So in the state of Utah, there's approved apps that allow for parenting communication where the communications cannot be deleted. So everything is documented in the court. And the state can also determine guidelines for how communication goes in terms of like being respectful, not using abusive names, not using abusive language, not harassing people, not stalking people, not being malicious. And they can put in guidelines in regards to how they communicate about the child and what the child's needs are and the medical care, the decisions that are made for school, any legal decisions that are needed can be done through this app. And the court also is able to, again, establish guidelines that will help with the rules of this. And one of those could very well continue to be no disparagement of the other parent around the child and no trying to influence the child negatively against that parent. In highly contested and very acrimonious divorces or splits where child custody has broken down and communication has broken down, the state also offers parenting coordinators, which can come in to resolve conflicts. So, a parent coordinator, according to the state of Utah, are parents who need help resolving conflicts about parenting issues can ask the court to appoint a parent coordinator. The services of the coordinator may be ordered by the court with or without agreement of both parties. And they are a mental health professional who has expertise in child development. They help parents resolve their differences by offering advice about the needs of the children and the workability of various parenting plans. They're not obligated to take the advice offered, but and the recommendations are kept confidential. And then they have a link for the parent coordinator. So there's professionals that can come in to help them settle their differences if they need to, if that's either something ordered by the court or something requested by, say, Christine. It also keeps things very seamless so that Christine has a written order that Kody must abide by, and that if he misses, say, custody time, that can get documented. It can be documented if he's missing payments. And then in the state of Utah, they also have guidelines for how they determine the custody of the child. And Cody's behavior and, his relationship with Christine and with Truly will play a role in that determination. Judges that oversee custody cases, they follow laws that have been put into place that help them establish who is the best parent and what's going to happen for the child and where they're going to go. And things that they consider under their laws are a parent's capacity and willingness to function as a parent, which includes parenting skills and co-parenting skills, which means their ability to appropriately communicate with the other parent and ability to encourage the sharing of love and affection and the willingness to allow frequent and continuous contact between the minor child and the other parent, except that if the court determines that the parent is acting to protect the minor child from domestic violence, neglect, or abuse, and the parent's protective actions may be taken into consideration. So if Truly isn't seeing Kody a lot because of his behavior, and Christine's trying to protect Truly from him and from his actions, say that comes up in this agreement, they might consider it that. They also will look at the past conduct and demonstrated moral character of the parent. They will look at the emotional stability of the parent's inability to function as a parent because of either drug abuse, excessive drinking, or other causes, the parent's reason for having relinquished custody or parent time in the past, the duration and the depth of desire for custody or parent time, the parent's religious compatibility with the minor child, the parent's financial responsibility, the child's interaction and relationship with step parents and extended family members of other individuals who may significantly affect the minor child's best interest, who has been the primary caretaker of the child, previous parenting arrangements in which the minor child has been happy and well adjusted in the home, school, and community, the relative benefit of keeping siblings together, which isn't going to be a factor here, the stated wishes and concerns of the minor child, taking into consideration the minor child's cognitive ability, and the strength of the child's bond with the parent, meaning the depth, the quality, the nature, and the relationship between the parent and the child. So basically, they're going to look at all of these different factors when they help to consider and determine who the primary caretaker is going to be. And it's honestly not going to be that difficult for a judge to determine that Christine is going to be the best fit to stay as the primary caretaker because she literally has never not been with Truly the entire time she's been Truly's mom. No one else has been the primary caretaker of her, and Truly has a very strained and distant relationship with her father. And Cody's behavior and his inability to communicate effectively and kindly and appropriately with Christine has been a big problem. And it's been a big reason for their breakdown in their relationship. Cody's abusive language and his abusive outbursts on sister wives that are documented for the public could come back and bite him because the judge will look at if Cody's fit to even have visitation with her. And they will consider if there's been any psychological maltreatment or physical sexual maltreatment or abuse that's in the home. And they're also gonna look at Cody and what his bond is to her and how involved he's been with her to determine visitation. And because he's out of state, the location will also play a factor in how much parenting time he receives. So the parenting time and the custody, that's complicated and that's determined by a judge. Christine will present her request to the court of what she wants. Cody has a right to ask for what he wants, and then the judge makes determinations based on evaluations of both parents. The financial side of things is, I think, where Cody's going to get the most angry because now, for the first time, Cody's actually going to have to demonstrate to a court what his income is. He's going to have to provide evidence of what his annual income is via taxes and wage statements, records to the court to show his income. And what the court looks at when they determine child support is it says the child support is calculated using gross monthly income of both parents and the number of overnights the child spends in each house. The parents are required to provide the court with proof that their current income matches the income used in the support calculator. This can include year-to-date pay stubs or employer statements and complete copies of tax returns from at least the most recent year. If this proof is not reasonably available, they can file a declaration of the other party's earnings explaining their income. Coney does not like having to have anyone control his finances, and he doesn't like the government involved in any capacity in his life. So, this is literally going to drive him insane. He will be so angry about having to cooperate with a child support order and a parenting plan order because once something's placed as an order for Cody in the state of Utah, he has to abide by that, and it can be enforced, and he can have if he doesn't pay child support, for instance, a judge can order the enforcement or do an enforcement order, which would be a judgment of money that's owed and that he would have to pay, which would be literally a judgment in a court that's filed against him. And then they can also be found in contempt of court and order the party to pay a fine or even serve jail time. And then she would be able to do this through an motion to enforce an order. There's also similar contempt charges that can be done if they don't follow the parenting plan or the visitation schedule. So Cody will have a lot of government oversight that he doesn't want to have. He is one of those people that believes that he is above the law and doesn't have to follow rules. With an order like this, Cody would be required to not only pay child support, and they can do payment through a variety of ways. A lot of times they'll just do garnishment of wages and they'll take it out directly from his pay stub or from his bank account on whatever a monthly or every other week basis. And he's going to hate that. He's also going to hate the fact that he will have rules dictating his behavior because he doesn't want anyone telling him what he can and cannot do or what he can and cannot say. And at different points, if things get even worse, Christine can also take out additional injunctions. So there are standard injunctions that are filed, but a person, when they're filing for custody, can determine if they would like an injunction to be put into place. If things get worse and say he becomes even more abusive, she can actually file like a stalking order out against him or a harassment order against him to prevent him from further harassment and abusive behavior, which then would cause more issues for his parenting time and his visitation. I don't know what his plans are now that he's got his house on the market in Arizona, but right now the parenting schedule for visitation is a set schedule by the state of Utah. They can modify it if a parent is out of state and do weekends and holiday visitation and summer visits and all of that. If he's in the same state, there's also a standard parenting time schedule they can go off of. So where he lands is going to be play a huge role in how this plays out. But there's a lot of reasons why Christine has done this, and frankly, I think shocked she hasn't done this sooner. It's probably been very difficult for her to unravel that it's not wrong for her to use the court system and that it's okay for her to sue him because they are so against governmental intervention. So I don't know if being married to David has perhaps helped her open her eyes to what she can do and what rights she does have because she was told her whole life she didn't have rights as a woman. Cody's gonna hate anyone telling him what he has to do and what he has to say and what he has to pay. And this is going to be interesting to see how this plays out and how he abides by it. Cody's escalating paranoia and anger and just his demeanor and the violent rhetoric he uses and the very abusive psychological and verbal abuse that we see on the show. It I don't think that this is going to go well for him in a court because there is so much documented evidence on video of how he treats his ex-wives and his lack of engagement or interest in his children. I think that Christine is very wise to do this, especially now that she has lost her only child that could help mediate and put it in the hands of the court and let them help her manage him because I can't imagine this has been very easy for her. I cannot imagine what it would be like to try to leave a malignant narcissist like him. So Christine's first steps have been taken. Cody now has a right to respond, and this will be getting very heated. Now, we're going to talk in another video about how now Janelle is considering hiring her own lawyers and considering her own lawsuits against Cody over finances. Cody is in a world of hurt at this point, and I think it's only going to continue to be piled on. But he's not going to be able to hide his assets anymore, and he's going to finally be held accountable. And if he doesn't abide by it, he's going to go to jail. So, what are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments below. Make sure that you give this video a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't subscribed, and please click on that bell so you never miss a video. Thank you all so much for watching. Bye, everyone.